justice. Please welcome Danica.
As an educator, I'm on strike with you guys today. Open letter to the adults of humanity. When I used to teach at Vancouver Film School, students would ask my advice on how to succeed in the industry. And I'd say it only takes two things: show up and do a good job. Show up and do a good job. And you know what I'd ask them? You'd be surprised by how many people fail to do the first thing, let alone get to the good part. I'd hoped at the time my students would see this wasn't just advice for the film industry. Showing up doesn't just mean physically being in a space. Sometimes showing up is about leaving things behind: your ego, your selfishness, your envy, your greed. Showing up is with eyes and heart open. Showing up is being part of the larger plan, the one that serves the most people, the one that leaves as few people as possible behind, the one that means living in a world harmoniously with hospitality for creatures great and small. Showing up is necessary in order to get to the doing good part. Showing up means we see the hurt we cause others, we see our sameness and our truth. And our truth is we face the biggest threat to us all and to the creatures of this world who have had no say in and no defense against their own annihilation. And still, most of the adults are not showing up. Most of the adults are afraid of losing the wrong things, of losing sales or votes, comforts and ease, luxuries, of losing customers or clients or more of what somebody else has. But look who showed up today. Look who showed up today. It was a sad moment for me when I had to admit that the adults had left the defense of all life to the children. But defend it you will, because you have imagination and because you can see what isn't supposed to be and create what can, because you have an unwavering sense of right, of wrong, and justice, and you know that it is wrong to be mean to each other, or to animals, or to forests, or to oceans, or to trees. I often write poetry as a way to express my grief about what is happening to our planet. But in 2016, when Trump was voted into office, I actually could not write. I was paralyzed. I was paralyzed with despair. I didn't get out of my pajamas for 2 weeks. I had lost all hope for humanity. Eventually, though, I got more angry than grief-stricken, and I decided I would not go gently into ecological collapse, that I would do something, that I would show up. And I found other people who have showed up, many who have been showing up for decades, and many whose voices have not been heard over the business of our consumption. But even as new people were showing up, it still felt like too few and not fast enough, and I wavered between hope and despair for months. But then, two movements arrived. And I felt a shift, and my friends tell me they feel it too. Two movements I believe that will create that great tipping point off of fossil fuels that the world so needs. Extinction Rebellion and Fridays for Future. Last November, I joined the Extinction Rebellion, an international movement of citizens coming together to call attention to the imminent danger the ecological crisis represents. It began about a year ago in the UK, where just last month, thousands of creative activists unleashed strategic disorder in London for 10 days. They came in costumes, on bikes, with drums, staged die-ins and funerals and parades and barricaded roads and bridges at major city landmarks to call attention to climate change, and they definitely got their government's attention. If you haven't heard of Extinction Rebellion's demands, there are three and they are simple. That the government tell the truth about how deadly our situation is, reverse their policies not in alignment with that position, and work with the media to communicate this urgency. 2, that the government enact legally binding policies to reduce carbon emissions in Canada to net zero by 2025. And to those who say that's ambitious, well, so be it. We are ambitious people. And the third, that they create a citizens' assembly so that we, the people, can be in charge of deciding the measures needed to reach those goals and guarantee a just and fair transition for all people across Canada. Extinction Rebellion Canada coordinators welcome anyone from any organization or no organization to participate as long as you abide by our principles, which include peaceful, non-violent, direct disobedience. And you must clean up after yourself. Our call for urgency is in line with this wondrous, wondrous wave of youth climate activism. Joining forces, we are a movement to reckon with. Greta Thunberg herself joined the Extinction Rebellion protests and delivered a speech to British members of Parliament accusing them of failing to take climate change seriously. 25 years ago, when I dedicated myself to being an educator and working creatively with children, I could not have envisioned standing here with you like this now. It both saddens and inspires me. As an educator and a human being, you have my love, my gratitude, and my unequivocal support. We are truly in this together, and together we will drive those necessary changes and secure a safe and living world for us all.
Thank you, Danica. Let's have one more round of applause for her. Now, the moment many of us have been waiting for. Yes, sir. Dr. David Suzuki.